Hey, what's going on? It's Bebop here. Today's video, we're going to be going over sword and shield tanking. We're going to be going over flail tanking and greatsword tanking. Now, I'm going to cover these as a basic level of tanking, okay? It's going to be a heavy set. I'm not going into light tanking yet. I'll do that in a separate video. Also, M3 speed runs, M3 score runs, tanking, a lot more complex. That's going to take a whole separate video in itself. This is going to be what any new player can get into M1, M2, or, you know, whatever the PvE situation is other than M3 and be able to run, okay? It's going to be a heavy set, 300 con, 300 strength, around there. And I'll go over each weapon, the skill tree, attributes, and gear. This is basically a BIS setup. Now, it's a 700 gear score setup. As we get the new gear on the new, fresh start characters, then I will go over the new gear and have separate videos for those, but this will still apply. The principles will still apply for the enchanted ward and everything else I'll cover. So hope you enjoyed the video, and here we go. Now let's go with greatsword, because there are a lot of greatsword players out there. Now I spotted this. Why am I standing like I'm standing? What the? Don't stand like that with the greatsword. You're not threatening anybody. All right, with the greatsword. Now I did this based upon you not having Serenity on a fresh start server. Okay, if you have Serenity, then you probably already know what you're doing by that point. But right now, Trenchant Strikes is a absolute must on a greatsword. So when people start making greatswords in the store and selling them, you'll pay a hefty price. Trenchant Strikes is a must. You cannot use this weapon without Trenchant Strikes. Okay, now if you get the new artifact, that's more for movement stuff. But Trenchant Strikes right there, very important. Plague Strikes, yeah, I mean for PvP, I guess it'd be more important on dungeons where enemies are healing, like in Genesis right now. It can actually be really good. And basically, you just want to make sure you have Trenchant Strikes, okay? If you have Trenchant Strikes Refresh and Move, or if you have Trenchant Strikes Abyssal Attunement or Arbor Attunement, stuff like that with Plague Strikes, hey, you got Abysser. But Trenchant Strike is really what you need to find there. Now, I'm running the Artifact Rapier to help boost the damage by 15%. Since I don't have Serenity, this will help boost the damage. Your team might ask you to run a Great Axe or a Hammer for CC, so keep that in mind. And if you go with the Hammer, I would go Refresh and Move, Thwarting Strikes, Sundering Clear Out. That would be the way I'd go for DPS. And then the gear, basically when you're playing Greatsword, Relentless Freedom is almost a must-have on the gear, because activating Relentless Rush removes root and slow, increasing Relentless Rush's critical hit chance by 13%. So if you get slowed or rooted, let's say an ice mutation or a nature mutation, you can get out of it with Relentless Freedom. Then we have Enchanted Ward Refreshing, and then we have Enchanted Ward Refreshing, got the Attuned Leather Pants, and then we have Enchanted Ward Refreshing. We have our serums and potions and all that jazz. We have our void protection. We have what should be a slash ring here. If you have Serenity, you can just go keen awareness ring, because you're going to be in power capped with the Serenity. So other than that, a slash ring here, which I'm not sure if I have on me. I think I do. Or you can go keen awareness for extra criticals, but slash ring would be preferred since you don't have Serenity. So keep that in mind. And I have the Endless Thirst earring. Now let's go over stats. How will we stat this, Bebop? Well, I'm glad you asked. With the greatsword, you would go 350 dex. A lot of people will do split stack, but when you get Serenity, 350 dex is really going to be the way you go, because you're going to get more criticals out of it. You're going to get 15% crit chance while empowered. And with the greatsword, you're pretty much always empowered, so getting extra critical chance is really good. So that way when you're swinging on a bunch of mobs, because that's what the greatsword does, it slams down on the first heavy attack, then sideways on the last two attacks. And all those mobs, you might not be lined up to get the backstabs, but you'll get the extra critical chance while empowered. You're always empowered with the greatsword. 25 int for the 5 damage increase to backstabs, and then the rest you go strength. Okay, and then you take your food for strength or whatever you want. If you want to go split stack, that's fine. You will hit bigger numbers, as far as you'll hit a bigger number every now and then with the split stack, I believe, but you won't get as many critical hits. So in overall, you won't be doing as much damage. With Serenity, you would definitely go this way, because you have Trenchant crits on the Serenity, which means 30 something percent damage boost while hitting criticals. Let's look again at Serenity. Heavy melee attacks deal 34% critical damage. So criticals is what's so important with Serenity. That's why this is so good to have. That's why the Greatsword's been nerfed over and over and over. It's so good. Okay, you must have this. Now, when we go with tanking, I'll go SNS tanking first. Actually, no, I won't. I will go Greatsword tanking first. I have Serenity here. Best thing you can have for Greatsword tanking. Refreshing move on it. Transient strikes, transient crits. You get empowerment cap here. And you get fortify when defensive stance. Excuse me. Refreshing move, hated, sundering clear out is really good to have on a hammer. The hated, because if you're playing with people that really pump DPS, that hated is going to help keep more threat. And that's what's going to help keep keep the aggro. Refresher move to get your cooldowns faster, so you constantly can CC. Sundering clear out is going to add a bunch of rend to the enemies and fortify your teammates around it based off the skill tree. Now, with this gear, you could go Glacial Tarn all the way through if you wanted to. Glacial Tarn set, when Glacial Tarn goes mutated, will be this. It'll be the Frigid Dawn set. It comes with Elemental Aversion. It comes with Enchanted Ward with a random third perk. So a lot of tanks love rocking this with the Void Arc Plate. But Enchanted Ward and Health, Freedom, Constitution is fine. And then you have Heavy Chest Wear, the Void Arc Plate. I put Sundering Shockwave on there. I run this while tanking, so Sundering Shockwave for the extra Ren. Heavy Glove, Constitution, Enchanted Ward, Refreshing, and Freedom. Elemental Aversion, Enchanted Ward, Slowing Rupture. And then you have Relentless Freedom, because you're Greatsword tanking. It's a great thing to have. And Enchanted Ward and Refreshing. So then you can have now a Fortified Protection. Amulet would be better. I don't have one. I didn't really Greatsword tank a lot here this past, I don't know, 6 months or so. I really wasn't stacking up those fortified protection amulets. So if you have one of those, I mean, I really don't think you need it. I never really thought I needed it, but Divine and Health I really like as a tank, probably more than anything. Plus 10% incoming healing effects, increases in max health and void protection. I have my own fortifying defenses, so I'll be just fine. Slash, oh, there's my slash ring. Leeching, slash damage, and hardy. Now, since I'm using Serenity and front and facing enemies, I would probably rather go keen awareness than slash damage. So I would probably have that on there. I think I got this mixed up with my DPS Greatsword class here. I think I should have switched those rings. But that's all right. We make mistakes sometimes. We're just going to roll through it. Constitution, Refreshing Toast, Nimble, and Despised. Now, if you have Despised, Nimble, Regenerating Health, that would be the Bisser. I don't have one of those, but that would be really good backup right here. And then we make sure we have your honing stones and all that stuff for all these classes, by the way. Now, how would I spec this out? Well, it used to be 300, 300 for the Constitution. I would still do 300, 300 for the Constitution and Strength. Now they changed grit, so you only get grit when charging heavy attacks. That's why I said before the update came out, Greatsword tanking is going to make a comeback, because you heavy attack all the time with the Greatsword. And then you go 300 Strength, okay? That's what you would do. Now, with Sword and Shield, you no longer have the grit while light attacking, so you will get staggered a lot more. So with Sword and Shield, it's going to be interesting on how things work out. Not really sure. Maybe Trenchant Strikes on a sword. I don't really know yet. Haven't really played at that level yet since the update, so I don't know. But I would go 300 con, 300 strength for this setup. And then on the skills, Greatsword setup like this. Now, sometimes I will pick this Faultless Defender right here. Extra stamina damage when blocking, after you raising your guard point. Because sometimes I feel like I need that. It's a iffy perk. This perk up here, I replaced it with, if you're hit while at full health, reduce the damage taken by 20%, then gain 20% fortify. It's just really good. It's a 20-second cooldown though, which is a long time. If you're going in a need where a bunch of ranged enemies are hitting you, you can also do this. Now block 100% of the ranged attack damage while using Greatsword. So this extra dot up here can be moved around to one of these two other ones. So feel free to choose what you want to choose. But basically, the Roaring Rupture all the way down the tree is a must to help regroup. Base damage increased by 3% for each Greatsword buff on you. Also add bleeding. And heavy attacks have grit. And see, we go down the tree here on this side, on the onslaught side. And you want to go with the left side ultimate because charged heavy attacks now do a cooldown of 10%. So you get your cooldowns even faster. And as a tank, as many cooldowns as you can get to retaunt or protect yourself, especially with the Greatsword, since you're lacking some protection, is a must in my opinion. Remember, anytime you're in the onslaught position, you will be taking 15% more damage. So only use that when you know the enemy's down and you could do some more damage, or the enemy's about to die and you know you could do some more damage. Now, when I Greatsword tank, I will also switch to Sword and Shield on bosses because of the leadership ability, which I'll show here in a minute. But as a hammer setup, this is what I run. You're going to get your cooldowns with your light attacks right here. So it's inherent skill tree cooldown for the light attacks. And basically, you go clear out all the way down the tree. It's going to help give your teammates in a 4-meter radius fortify. And I have the Sundering clear out, so it's going to add Rend, Shockwave, and then Wrecking Ball all the way down the skill tree. Okay, that's what I like as a tank, because then I can come up to the mob if I need to. I can re-aggro with a shock. I can light attack, and then I can overhead slam. I get fortified doing that. Light attack, and then boom. Now, without the grit, now it's going to be different. Okay, I will have to test that and see if that can still work. I almost think we're going to have to go heavies on this for the cooldown reduction and switch up the skill tree. So this is subject to change. And if you've already experienced that, then you might want to go where you have grit while doing heavy attacks, and then you would basically shock, and you would do a heavy attack to get your cooldowns. Oh man, that's so much slower than what it used to be, it feels like. And then you would do your overhead slam, and then you would do your cooldown hit, and then you could do that. Now, there are cooldown reductions for heavy attacks with the Warhammer. Adds grit to Warhammer heavy attacks. Also 12% damage reduction while grit is active. So there you go. And then gaining power on heavy attacks increases damage by 20% by 4 seconds. So I believe I set this up for the update, and I was going to try this, but I haven't been back on my Bebop account in some time. Also want to try out the light attacks for the refreshing cooldowns, and I have not been able to run this yet because I've been focused on my new character. So this would also be an important dot to select. Increase armor penetration 10% for all your Warhammer basic attacks. And that's about it. But this is what I go with, and I'm going to be testing out the heavy attacks here soon when I tank with Sword and Shield. I'll do that on my new account though. All right. Now we go to Sword and Shield. All right, with the Sword and Shield, you would go 300 still until further notice. But this is traditionally what I used to go with. You have this dot for the extra threat on the light, last hit of the light attack chain, shield rush, and if you have fortify shield rush on your shield, you get that extra fortify. You have defender's resolve also, and you will get extra protection right here. So with the tower shield, base damage reduction increased by 20%. That's good. Extra incoming healing. That's really good. You're going to be adding, or you're going to be able to get in your own empower to be able to do more damage. The whirling blade has changed now, so the heavy gear, you're going to be doing 16% weaken. So now with this change, you don't have to select this over here. It's only a 4% increase in weaken. Now you will lose the fortify off of fortify shield rush, but this ability right here, and especially if you get down here for the last dot, to be able to get your cooldowns by 25% is huge. So I believe it's better than doing 10% more base damage to slowed foes, because you're not going to be doing much damage as a tank anyways. So I would probably select that just like that, and you could go. And I would keep this dot also, because if you're blocking for a second and they're hitting you a lot, you're going to get your cooldowns a lot faster. You could get rid of the successfully hidden with a heavy attack, cause you to lose 1 debuff, and go with that if you feel like it, or with the critical speed. But if you're going to do Starstone this week and that lost boss is throwing up on you, you can hit him with a heavy, make him have the debuff right back. Okay, so get that off you. Now if you have upheaval, the contagious upheaval perk on your clothes, then you can actually reverse 2 dots on from you to the enemy. So then you wouldn't need this, and then you could go back to picking the extra ability damage, or you can select the critical dot here. So you can set it up like that, but make sure you have leadership in PvE. There's many different shields right here. You got fortifying shield rush, you got thrust shield ward, sturdy shield defense. I have another shield right here, which is enchanted ward, sturdy shield defense, slash ward. Really, the slash ward is what intrigues me, because some bosses I need the slash ward protection. And then you have accelerated resolves, also really good to have on your clothes. It won't speed you up that much on your clothes. It's like cut to, I think, 24%. And then incoming healing, I think it's 8% if it's on your clothes. But this is also sometimes good to have on your shield to get the extra incoming healing. Now, this was what I was hoping would come back with the Halloween event for the Nightville round shields, or the Nightville shield, so you can get refreshing move on there, but that's no longer a thing. The wall that you get is really good for the last boss in Savage Divide. That's the only time you should ever use the wall. Look for shields with strike ward, slash ward, thrust ward, you know, fortifying shield rush for certain bosses, because this is what you'll need to switch out as you're tanking. So now with the new changes for the grit, I do have another sword that I wanted to show you before I go. I will have to see how this works. I guess I don't have it on me, but it's Trenchant Strikes, refreshing move, and keen. I don't know if you'll have to go to heavies with the sword and shield with the new grit change, but that's something to keep in mind. Now the flail right here, if you want to go with the flail, I have Trenchant Strikes with the new fortified changes, or the new grit changes. Trenchant Strikes might be the thing to do now with the flail, plus you get the extra damage, and the flail suffers from a lot of damage anyways. Hated to generate more threat, so anything you can do to add more threat, because the flail is super weak. And then Keenly Jagged to keep your threat, because the targets are being weakened. It's pretty much, in my mind, Abysser as tanking. Might not be a popular opinion, but I've used this quite often and I absolutely love it. Basically the same thing as a sword and shield setup. Now you can add different flail perks on your clothing, which I don't have any, but let's say you could put accelerated barrage on your clothing or your shield. That will give you haste after you do that. Or you could put crowded bludgeon on your shield, which will reduce the cooldown of crowded bludgeon by 50%, which is super, super good. So you can constantly taunt and fortify yourself and teammates. And that's pretty much the same as the sword and shield setup. Now with the stats, it will be a little bit different. I would definitely go to 50 focus here. And I would still do as much strength as I can, along with con. So if you can go, you know, I would still say you need to go 300 con to get that grit while doing heavy attacks. And then you can put the rest into strength and 50 into focus. And you can take your food to buff that up a little bit more. And so with the flail, crowded bludgeon's really good. You have vortex to unroot your teammates if they're stuck in the ice or nature. And then also you got this to weaken the enemies. Now you can change that up if you want to with the flail. I'll show you my flail setup. I'm not an expert in the flail department. A lot of people do like to go with barrage, but I really like this left side ultimate more than the right. And so you can choose to do what you want to do, but this is how I run it, and I really have enjoyed it, and I've used it in pretty much every dungeon that I've, you know, flail tank, just this exact same setup. So feel free to vary from that. Crowded bludgeon is really good to help give fortify, and reinforce fortify to self and all allies within 3 meters of the player. Increases armor by 50% for 8 seconds or until 3 hits are taken. If you need any more information, you can look through my past videos, and I have videos of me flail tanking in Lazarus, you know, Greatsword tanking also, and sword and shield tanking and light tanking for speed runs in Genesis, where we did like a 10-minute, 30-second run, lightweight, 150 con. So you can feel free to check that out. I'll get into that more in the next video of tanking, more in depth. And now this video that you're seeing here will be about the life staff and how I set this up for healing as going into the current update. So feel free to check that out here soon. I stream live every day on Twitch. Feel free to stop by. Thank you for watching. Later.